Welcome back to the next episode of History in Your Own Backyard. I'm your host, Chrissy Heim, and today we're here with Ray Grodehouse at St. Teresa Catholic Church in Price Hill. How are you today, Ray?
Fantastic. Glad you're here with us.
Oh, I am happy to be here. I've always loved this building, and I'm so excited to be on the inside. So can you tell us a little bit about when St. Teresa Parish was actually founded?
Sure. So early in 1916, Catholics in the Covedale area of Western Hills petitioned Archbishop Henry Moeller for a new parish in their neighborhood. In July, Reverend Joseph B. Mueller was given the assignment for the new parish. Father Mueller was a devotee of the 16th century Carmelite nun St. Teresa of Avila, so he requested that the new parish be named in her honor. Archbishop Moeller readily agreed, since his mother's name was Teresa. The first Mass was held in a home down the street on Overlook Avenue, where a chapel was set up on the first floor. Father Mueller lived upstairs. They kept this arrangement until a church could be built.
Very interesting. Well, can you tell us a little bit about the first church?
Sure. The new parish purchased several lots out here in the Hiram Rulison subdivision at the corner of Glenway and Overlook. Parishioner Anthony Kunz was the architect, and he was inspired to design the building in the Spanish mission style because of the Panama, California exposition out in San Diego. So he used that style when he designed the church. It's a small building, only 28 by 80. It's set right on the corner of Overlook and Glenway, where our sign is now. And believe it or not, it was built in just 21 days, mostly by the men of the parish. So the building set on the corner, right where our sign is now, cost about $20,000 to build. And then 2 years later, a school was added on the back, and St. Teresa School was born.
Well, I know a whole lot has changed in the Price Hill area in the last 100 years. So what was the early church like?
Yeah. Originally, there were 50 families, and Father Mueller worked hard to build a thriving congregation. He was a natural at bringing people together, and he was known for his warmth and down-to-earth personality. In no time at all, Mueller had established a choir, ladies and men's societies, as well as groups which offered spiritual and social opportunities to young parishioners. The pastor enjoyed interacting with the youth of the parish. There were times he would go into the school and proclaim it was too nice of a day to be stuck inside and dismiss the kids. Not sure how the parents felt about that move, or the teachers. Another way he fueled growth was to lobby the city for an extension of the streetcar out here to Covedale. Father Mueller was so instrumental in this effort that he was chosen to drive the first spike in the ground for the new tracks. The line triggered a significant increase in population, many of whom were Catholic. Soon, the parish would have 500 families.
Well, how did all those families fit into that small church?
Well, they didn't. So the flock embarked on an ambitious building project to construct a combination church, school, which doubled the seating capacity in the church, and it added 8 classrooms for the kids. The new structure was a continuation of the Spanish mission style and had a clay tiled roof. The interior ceiling was hand stenciled and had exposed wood beams. There was a rosette window over the front door and stained glass throughout. Keeping up with school enrollment was always a struggle, though. What started with 50 pupils had grown to 400. It was obvious that additional space was needed. The school was enlarged with 8 more classrooms, a gym auditorium, and a cafeteria. Beautiful maps of the United States and the world were painted on the walls, which survive to this day. At its peak, there were over 1,100 students. At this point, we should mention the Sisters of Mercy. This religious community instructed the children of the parish with a firm but gentle touch and made many sacrifices for their students. The sisters served the parish for over 70 years.
Well, how long did Father Moeller serve as pastor?
For 23 years. He passed away in 1939. Beginning with several dozen families, he was able to grow the church, build 2 churches, 2 schools, numerous societies. William J. Anthony was chosen as the second pastor. Monsignor Anthony's assignment coincided with the huge growth spurt, and he proved to be up to the task. By 1942, the congregation was so large that masses were held in the church as well as the gym. There were 4 services each Sunday, led by Anthony and his assistants. That was fine for a while, but it wasn't a permanent solution. By the end of the 1950s, there were 10 masses between the church and the gymnasium. Monsignor Anthony sent a letter to every family notifying them that fundraising was to begin for a new edifice.
And that's where we're sitting today, in the current St. Teresa?
Correct. So Monsignor Anthony and his architect, John Burdick, they toured churches over in Europe. And then they created a booklet of their research and ideas to use as their path for designing their new church. Not wanting to take on any debt, Anthony's mantra was, "Not a spade in the land till the sum is in hand." The parish responded to the challenge, and ground was broken in March 1960. Unfortunately, Monsignor Anthony didn't live to see his dream realized, as he died from a heart attack 3 months later. The mantle was taken up by Associate Father John Porter and the new pastor, Lawrence Crum. They inherited a staggering project made more difficult by the fact that many of the details were only in the mind of Monsignor Anthony, and they went with him to the grave. Luckily, the architect kept good notes, so at least they didn't have to start from scratch. The first Mass was held in the lower level in August 1962, while Christmas saw the first celebration in the main sanctuary.
Ray, talk to us about some of the architectural features of this amazing building.
Yeah, it is amazing. Starting outside, the facade is a near carbon copy of St. Giles in Arles, France. A statue of St. Teresa stands at the peak of the front wall. A dramatic series of carvings above the doors depict stories of the Bible and the sacraments. On the overlook side, there's a frieze displaying scenes from the life of St. Teresa. These engravings are fantastic. The 100-foot-tall tower houses a set of bells which originally graced the cathedral. And when St. Peter in Chains was renovated, the students of St. Teresa raised money to purchase them. They were manufactured in 1851 and still call us to Mass today. The interior church walls are Indiana limestone, and it was built to hold 1,200 souls. The pillars are topped with religious symbols such as the Eucharist, the hand of God, and the keys to the kingdom. The sanctuary includes the crucifix with Jesus, Mary, and John. The imposing baldacchino is enameled copper showing Christ the Judge surrounded by the evangelists, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. The Latin inscription translates to, "The Master is present, he calls you." The front altar was acquired from the Mount Alverno Boys' School in Delhi when it closed in 1972. And now our beautiful stained glass windows. Those in the main body of the church were styled after the 12th century 5 prophet windows, which are in the cathedral in Augsburg, Bavaria. Ours were made by the Franz Meyer Company of Munich, Germany. Some figures depicted are David, Moses, St. Joseph, the archangels, Saints Peter and Paul, and of course, St. Teresa of Avila. The center of the rose window shows a dove with petals extending out, representing the fruits of the Holy Spirit. Over the doors in the vestibule, we have the coats of arms for Pope John the 23rd, Archbishop Carl J. Alter, and St. Teresa of Avila Parish. Pope John's family were builders, so there's a tower in his window. Alter's family were beekeepers, so there are bees. The parish coat has a Carmelite symbol and the seal of the Archdiocese of Cincinnati.
All right, well, thanks for all of that history, Ray. This has been a great visit. Is there anything else you would like to tell us? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I would like to mention, the future here for our parish. And, unlike 1960, families don't have 5 or 6 kids, so our congregation is much smaller these days, reflecting a worldwide trend in the Catholic Church. In response, the Archdiocese of Cincinnati has implemented the Beacons of Light program to prepare for the future. Our current pastor, Father Zach Cecil, is guiding our family of parishes, which includes St. William, St. Lawrence, and Resurrection. He leads us as we work together to remain vibrant assets to the diocese and to our West Side communities.